Hey YouTube, how's it going? Kevin Cleary here with a knife video for you. And today I want to have a bit of a discussion with you. Now I do want to warn you, if you're watching this and you're someone who's prone to nightmares or you're easily triggered, you probably want to turn this off because you could be traumatized for life just from thinking through this with me. But what if, for some, horrific and terrible world-ending reason, for some reason I have to give up all of my knives and I can only keep one. Maybe I have to sell them all to cover some expense, or maybe, the progressives and the social justice warriors finally win and no one is allowed to have any weapon of any kind, and we're all forced to, carve shivs out of our toothbrushes in order just to cut our steaks, which we have to cook, by the way, over a heating element because barbecues are too dangerous to have as well. Anyway, whatever the reason might be that we somehow have to get rid of all of our knives, which one would I keep? I'd love to hear you guys in the comments. Which one would you keep? Or I will point this out, we did have this conversation over on the Sharp Stuff Facebook page, and so if you want to go over there and weigh in on this there, you're welcome to do that as well. So let's go ahead and get started, and here's how I'd like to do this. I want to sort of share some ideas that kind of go through my head when I have this sort of hypothetical, argumentation with myself. And so here are the things that I'd want to look for. Number one, I'd want to pick a knife that's extremely useful. So something that has, a blade that's got a really good cutting edge, that, is going to hold its edge pretty long, that's going to be tough enough, durable enough that I'm not going to have to constantly be afraid anytime I use it. And by the way, pretty well all of these knives kind of fit that criteria. Every one of these knives, and really most of the knives that I use and own and like, they're going to be fairly generally useful. Now I will say in this stack there's one exception, and that is this guy. A Wharncliffe is great, but it's not extremely versatile. So if this was a different XM18, it could probably stay in, but I think we've got to eliminate this one pretty well right off the bat because it's just not as versatile as some of the other blades that we have here. So everything else that's left though is, they're fairly well balanced blades. And I do have one kind of wild card to throw in here, and that is the Leatherman Signal. It has a blade as well as a bunch of other stuff on it, and maybe that would be your choice as well. Maybe you'd lean toward a multi-tool. I at least wanted to kind of give that as a consideration. Now, the second point that it would have to be is tough. It's got to be durable. This is not something that can easily break. It's really got to be able to take a beating and keep on going. And so I think really all of these fall into this category. Pretty well all of these knives I think would be knives that, I'll probably still have when my kids are adults and even be able to hand down to them. And so, but toughness is a big one. So something like, hold on, this little Boost Blade Smoke. I love this knife and it's a phenomenal EDC knife, but I didn't put it in this video because I don't feel like it's quite tough enough, okay? It's not quite the kind of knife that I'd want to depend on to just last from now forever. Another quick knife that I'll throw in here, this guy, because of the zero grind on the tip, it looks amazing, but the lack of versatility puts it off of this list as well. Another knife that's just not tough enough to hold up is going to be this guy. This is the Crkt snap lock. And, again, it's a great knife, but number one, the steel is not a great steel. It's going to not hold an edge super well. I guess you could sharpen it, but if you're down to one knife, you don't want to be sharpening it every half hour or something like that. So it's got to be tough. It's got to be something that'll take a beating, that'll last the test of time. And I think all of these pretty well pass that test. It would have to be sustainable. Now that means it's a knife I can take apart, I can clean it, I can keep it running for prolonged periods of time. Again, I think all of these knives kind of fit the category. I will say knives like this that are on bearings, and really a number of these are, this guy's on bearings as well. I'm not going to eliminate them, but I at least want to say that, hey, you know, that is a consideration that you might want to make, depending on your role too. Maybe you only ever use your knives for sort of light duty stuff, and so you're not worried about that. But if you go out in the bush at all, if you are skinning animals or something like that. By the way, the rules wouldn't exclude every knife. Like, it's just your folder collection that you got to get rid of, okay? So you can still keep that fixed blade that you use for skinning deer, chopping down trees or whatever. Anyway, it's got to be something that's going to last a long time, right? If it's your only knife, you know, you don't want to have to replace it over and over again. You just want something that's going to go for a good long time. The other thing about all of these is the warranty is pretty darn good. I actually sent this one to Cold Steel. Chris Reeve has a famous warranty. They are extremely good about that. ZT, again, Kershaw is one of the best warranties out there. I think I remember telling you guys the story. I bought an 801 that was just beat up badly, and it had been severely abused. The guy had tried to mod it. Anyway, I sent an email to Kershaw, and they sent me all the hardware, even the pivot screw, even the clip, like everything brand new, and I could replace it all, and it made just like the big, it was a huge difference in that knife. So it's got to be long lasting, and it's got to be dependable. And then here's something else. Now, this is a little more subjective, maybe, okay? It's got to make me happy, okay? It's got to be a knife that when I pick it up, I just think, wow, this is fantastic. Now I've already, guys, eliminated some knives that make me extremely happy but don't fit all the other criteria. This is a knife that I love. I pick it up and I play with it all the time. Same with this knife. We've eliminated this one, but I've got to say, these give me a lot of joy. Now, do all of these give me the same amount of happiness? Kind of, yeah, but let's eliminate a couple of just regular production guys. So the Recon One, I love this knife, and I keep bringing it back into videos for a reason. This is sort of one of the tools I use to evaluate any hard use knife, but it's going to go. The Para 2, despite the fact, again, that I love it and I think it's a standard bearer, is going to go because it just doesn't give me as much joy. The ZT, again, now maybe some other ZTs would stick around here, I don't know. But this one, although again, it gives me joy, it kind of falls into that Recon One category. It's a fantastic knife, it's heavy duty, it's overbuilt, and I love it for all those reasons, but it doesn't give me as much joy. This is purely, to me, a tool. I don't carry this, I don't pick this up and play with it. It sits in my backpack until I need it. So this guy's out. We're down to now some higher end stuff. Some fairly exciting stuff that, these knives really, when I pick these up, man, I'm just like, wow, these are wonderful. They're amazing. Now, I will say, practicality is a bit of an issue here, so I think we can eliminate the Formax, because although this would be a great one knife option, it will literally do everything you can do. And I've said this before, I said it recently in a video, this is a knife that will cut down a tree and slice up an apple or a tomato. It's really that versatile, and I love it for that reason. Not to mention, it is just a tank, okay? But to carry this every day, day in and day out, that's gonna get a little onerous. So it's off of the list. Now, we're down to the Curtis, the 8015, the Sebenza, I guess the Inkosi, it's not a Sebenza at all, and the Torrent. All right. Now, guys, I don't honestly know how I'm going to pick from these. I think any one of them would fit the role very well. What do these knives have in common? Well, blades on all of these are very useful and very balanced. They cut really well. They do all of those light duty slicey tasks very well, but they are also well built and heavy duty for the tougher stuff where there could be a potential to break or damage your blade. They're meant to hold up to that, and they're ground in such a way that they're going to do it really well. They all have really good steels that are going to hold an edge for a very long time. They're all a pretty good balance of size and weight and carryability, although although I know some of you are going to disagree with me about that, especially maybe these two would be on the heavier end of the spectrum. But the other thing is, these all give me a lot of joy. These are knives that I just look at, that I pick up and go, this is amazing. I can't believe that I get to own something like this. Okay, so how do we go from here down to just the one? Well, I think the first thing I would probably consider here is that I'm going to sell these to make some money. So I'd probably get rid of the most expensive ones because that's gonna get me more cash in hand. And now we're down to a couple that are left. Now, this represents two different sides of my personality. All right, there's the practical side that says keep the Inkosi, okay? Nothing is ever gonna go wrong with it. You can take it apart. It's extremely simple. You're never gonna have issues. But then the only point that the Inkosi doesn't quite satisfy is, you know, that element of something special and something, you know, that's just a little bit refined. And the Crkt really does that. By the way, if you're watching this and you're looking to maybe go into a higher end knife, I would start with a Crkt. The Torrent maybe isn't the one for you, but they are so well done that I really believe that right now, okay, and this could change in a year, it could change in 6 months, but right now, in terms of measuring the quality of a high-end knife, I think Crkt is about where it's at. I compare everything to this quality. I know that is a distinction that's normally given to Chris Reeve, but in this case, I'm calling out the Crkt because this thing is absolutely phenomenal. Now, where do we go from here? Can I eliminate one more? Man, it's a tough call, guys. This one is really nice. And the thing about this knife is it's like a high-end Rat Model 1. Okay, it's extremely refined. It's extremely, the tolerances are tight, and just if you appreciate quality, you will love it. But it's very much a function over form knife. Okay, it's just meant to work, and it does. There's no argument with that whatsoever. But I've got to say that it doesn't quite give me, aesthetically, I find this one is just a step above. Similar materials, okay, similar design, similar quality and all of that, but this knife, guys, I think wins the day. Now, I will say this. Okay, this is a little subjective, and if we had a bunch of other knives, even if we had some more knives from my collection here, this could have turned out differently. But from the knives that I was given to choose from, and I gave them to myself, I grant, I think this would be the one that would probably stay. This is nearly the perfect knife to me. The size, the weight, the performance, the quality, the action, the look of this, the ergonomics, everything about this. This is literally everything that I look for in a knife. It really is. And so if I had to get rid of everything else, at least at this point, again, I reserve the right to change my mind, but at least at this point, and for the purposes of this video, I think the Crkt Torrent would be the knife that stuck around in my collection. I would love to, well, it would no longer be a collection, would it? I would love to hear your comments below, guys, either down here in the comments or over on the Facebook page. Both are welcome, or yeah, go ahead and do both as well. I will put a link to the Facebook page if you want to head over there as well. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will talk to you soon.